Hello friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's start our video with a story in which our OP had to work the last 2 hours in the restaurant, and he'll be free. But at this point, he got a rude customer. I think you guessed that the actions of our OP will be the least unusual. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Certainly, sir, I can get that for you. I had an awful boss, and it got so bad I found a new job and handed my 2 weeks' notice in. My last shift was a complete mess. Several staff and another manager called in sick, so it was seriously short-staffed. Then a couple of the big flights got delayed, so we were stupidly busy. I was running between stations trying to keep everything close to functioning, and I just finished a stint on the bar taking orders when one of the floor guys told me there was an issue with a customer and they wanted to speak to the manager. I went over and he was kicking off about his food not having arrived. "Where's my fish and chips? I ordered fish and chips and I want it now." Now, I'd served him. He was rude at the bar, so I remembered him. And I knew he'd ordered only about 10 minutes beforehand and had been told there was about a half-hour wait on food. Normally, I deal with a situation like this calmly and politely, but as I said, it was my last shift. QMC. I said, "Certainly, sir, I can get that for you." Went into the kitchen and plated up frozen fish, frozen chips, and frozen peas. Took the plate out to him and said, "Here's your fish and chips. And if you want it effing cooked, you can wait the half hour I told you it'd be when I served you." He was not a happy bunny and started shouting that he was going to report me to my head office and get me fired. I just smiled and told him, "You'd best be quick. I ceased working for this company in less than 2 hours," and walked away, leaving him in his frozen food. Plot twist. He ate it. He liked it. That's how he orders it now. And our second story. Turns out there was some skeletons in the closet. I'm more of a bystander in the whole ordeal since I wasn't directly involved in this outside of knowing the people it involved and what happened. To start off, this happened in a fairly small town of only a few thousand inhabitants, so pretty much everyone knows each other, and secrets just don't seem to last very long. Anyhow, this town has a nursing home for elderly, and most of the people who work there and live there are from this same town. Anyhow, at this workplace there's a woman, let's call her Rachel, that's been working the day shift there for many years, who has the habit of coming some 30 minutes before everyone else and relieve the people from the night shift. Most of the people on the night shift liked her since, well, they got to take it easy for 30 minutes before being able to just go home. One thing to note is that the mood of Rachel would fluctuate quite a bit when she came in to work, ranging from your nice next-door older neighborhood aunt who'd offer you cookies to a snarling Tyrannosaurus who hadn't eaten for days on her bad days. But she would always become chipper throughout the day for some reason. She also had a weird habit of coming into work on her days off saying she'd forgotten something or was visiting someone living there, etc., etc. No one at the time thought anything weird of it. What did happen, however, a few months back was that Rachel got into a fight with, let's call her Ellen. Now, Ellen's also a nice lady, but she would often stand up for herself and always get even. For instance, one time Ellen had gotten into a fight with our boss, and while I don't remember the details, she reported it to her union. Unions are pretty big where I come from, so the boss got a report from the union telling her they'd gotten a complaint from an employee and they would have a meeting with this employee, and then somehow the boss found out it was Ellen. So the boss went and made the smart move of going to the changing room while Ellen was alone in there, locked the door, and then started threatening Ellen to do exactly as she said in the meeting with the union and to make sure to record everything in it or she'd be sorry, and then left. Ellen, on the other hand, reported to the union of this incident. Well, the union sent an angry letter to the boss's boss, who in turn told the boss her options. After that, boss doesn't even dare make eye contact with Ellen. But getting a bit off topic here. Just know Ellen's not a pushover. So what happens later on is that Rachel, wanting to get certain days of vacation but having forgotten to apply for them in time, finds out that Ellen has taken the day she wants. So she goes to Ellen and asks for trade, but she gets a firm no, with Ellen refusing to swap days. Rachel, who at the time should have probably made a different decision, goes to the boss and tells her that Ellen has agreed to swap days with her. The boss, a bit skeptical and as previously mentioned, a bit nervous around Ellen, calls her to double check and gets told that Rachel was lying and that she had said no such thing. Rachel gets a small reprimand from the boss and life moves on. Ellen, however, starts to see Rachel as a thorn in her side and that she can't let this go until she gets her back in some way. Time goes on, and a few weeks later, Ellen, while working together with Rachel, notices her mishandling the medicine for one of the residents, so she goes on to report her. Now, normally, this would have ended with them doing a checkup to check if it's true, and then she'd either get a warning or lose her right to dispense medicine to the residents, which she could get back after a few months after a retest on her handling. What instead happened was that they found an inconsistency when it came to her accessing the medicine cabinets. A few years back, the company had gotten a system where every time someone accessed the medicine cabinets, it'd get recorded. They could see that on these off days when she came in to grab her forgotten stuff or visit some of the residents, she would actually access their medicine cabinets. Same at times that they couldn't have their medicine and so on. Upon closer inspection, it was found out that mostly prescribed painkillers, but also some others that were prepared for future uses were missing or had been switched to similar-looking pills, such as allergy pills you could buy at any local store. Well, Rachel was fired that same day and told to simply pack up her stuff, and then that whole thing would be reported to the police and she should wait at home for the charges to come. While shocked at how far the rabbit hole went, Ellen was quite chipper to get back at her. What truly surprised me was what happened after this. As mentioned, this happened in a fairly small town, and Rachel, thinking this wouldn't spread like wildfire, went home and then told her family, friends, and anyone who'd listened that the reason she was at home and no longer at work was because she'd become stressed out and decided to take sick leave for a few months because of it. Well, it didn't take long before most of the town knew, and when her daughter had met up with a friend who also worked at the same nursing home as Rachel, she told her friend how sad she was that her mother had become burned out because of how stressful her work was at the nursing home, and hoped that her friend wasn't feeling too stressed out. The friend, however, flatly told her that Rachel had gotten fired for stealing prescribed drugs from her workplace, most likely for at least a few years, since they suspected she was using drugs to become chipper throughout the day, and she would almost always be in a bad mood when she worked for a while, then became happy-go-lucky a short while after dispensing medicine to the residents. The daughter then went home to tell her dad, and I don't know how the family meeting went from there, but there have been talks about a possible divorce, and if not the whole family, at least Rachel moving out of town, since everyone knows what happened. And our final story. Karen demanded I break her son out of jail. So some quick background. I work in a county jail, and I'm the guy you want working the floor, housing units and roving. I'm pretty good at dealing with and talking to inmates, and even better when we're past the point of talking. That being said, every officer is required to work a guard station at least once a month, even me. These stations are just dealing with the public, answering phones, and/or opening and closing doors. Okay, cool. On one such guard station shift, Karen storms in. She's a southern kind of Karen, totally unkempt hair, ratty clothes, at least 5 missing teeth, and a criminal record. You know the type. She marches into my lobby and up to my bulletproof window. I hit the intercom, and the following conversation ensues. Me. Can I help you? Karen. My son, EK, needs to be released right now. He's received his time and needs to come home. Me. Looking up EK on jail computer. Ma'am, he's got a hold out of blah blah county. He'll have to go to court and serve time there first. Karen. No, he needs to be released now. His time here is done. He can go to blah 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 county after he comes home. Me. Already over it. Ma'am, this isn't a hotel. The law requires that he's in custody until he answers for all the crimes he's charged with. If I release EK, I'll be fired and arrested. Karen. Aren't you supposed to serve and protect? Me. Yes, I am. EK was charged and has felony charges in blah blah county. Keeping him in custody serves and protects the public. Karen. How dare you? My son's a good boy and he doesn't deserve this. The other inmates are threatening him. What are you gonna do? Serve and protect him? Me, suppressing a grin. Well, ma'am, I'll go ahead and make an announcement to the other inmates to leave him alone and that he called his mother and that she's not happy with their behavior. I'm sure that won't put him in any danger. Karen, I demand to speak to your supervisor. Me, knowing that Sarge is about the last guy you want to piss off, it'd be my pleasure to let you speak to my supervisor. Sarge arrives and asks Karen what the issue is. She rants and raves for about 15, I kid you not, minutes about her sweet boy being wrongfully incarcerated, my behavior, and how EK's in danger and he's served his time. She concluded that if we didn't release EK, she'd raise hell in the lobby. At this point, Sarge raises his eyebrows in a look I know pretty well. It's a look that means, I'm genuinely impressed you're that stupid. Sarge, I remember you. You've been in jail before. Wonder where EK got it. Karen goes to rant again. Sarge cuts her off. Sarge, so much as fart in my lobby, jail cops is gonna arrest you on disorderly. Every officer was deputized and I'd been through police academy and patrol to boot. EK's gonna pay for what he's done on our schedule, not yours, and certainly not his. You're gonna leave my jail and never come back. If you ever come here again, you'll be charged with criminal trespass. Now why don't you go outside and play hide and go F yourself? Karen doesn't even think about mouthing off again. She all but runs out of the lobby. Sarge and I have a laugh about it later. Amazingly, Karen never filed any complaints. Not that this would have gotten her anywhere. This how the South do. My laugh of the day. Oh, if only more people could be as down-to-earth as your Sarge. Hey, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.